All right, here we go. Brett McMurphy does a great job of putting out information of what Circus Sports has. He, of course, now a part of On3, joined us last week. Here are the win totals estimated by Circus Sports. And, of course, I don't know if you heard, but this year you can win a half a game. So Arizona State, Kansas State, and Texas Tech all at 8.5 wins. And then 7.5, you can see the list: Baylor, Iowa State, Utah, Kansas. So they have 12 teams, according to Circus Sports, would be bowl eligible. The ones that would not be: Arizona, Oklahoma State, UCF, and West Virginia. And those last two schools with new coaches, Scott Frost and Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah, let's see, just rapid fire here. I'll take the over on the top. Let's see. Tech. I'll take the over on the top two. I think they'll do well. I think Tech will. It's just it's so hard for me to buy on Tech when they start famously so slow.
Do they have an awful non-conference schedule? They're going to be Oregon State, but this is Oregon State now 2 years removed from being in a power league. So what toll has that taken at this point on them? I can't imagine they're at same exact talent level across the board. Perhaps they are, but I just don't view that as exactly the same thing as it would have been if it's the old Pac-12 Oregon State, So beyond that, though, they play Kennesaw State, who is atrocious. And the other game is
they play Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Kent State. Kent State's one of the worst teams, if not the worst, at least.
Yeah, I said Kennesaw, but I meant Kent State. So Kent State and Arkansas, Pine Bluff.
And then a home
They'll
game.
Win those games 250-14.
Yeah.
So that's not even going to test them. Oregon State could, but yeah, they should be right there in the mix for winning 9-10 games. So this is Vegas. So why is there not more separation at the top? I thought it was easy to pick this league. Why is it everybody's 8.5 or under? Because they don't know what the hell is to be expected with this league either, and they're the actual experts.
Yeah, they know what we may not even know, and we know, I think, quite a bit, although not always the smartest.
But to not have a single team above 8.5 wins means that they're not too confident in saying that anybody's that much better than anybody else, or anybody's going to be that great to begin with. And I think we can all agree there that there's maybe not a blue blood playoff. I guess just no doubter, but there's a handful of schools that you feel could be in that position. So, I think this just speaks to the toughness of trying to pick it, is the fact that Vegas can't really pick it. There's 3.5 games that separate the top and the bottom.
Yep, 16 teams and 3.5 games separate.
So, yeah, I'm just saying that I think only reinforces that it's tough. It's not just it's the same as picking any other league. But, I think – there's every team to me, because of follow the league, is actually of interest. I know it's not for everybody though, but man, it's been interesting seeing West Virginia at the bottom of every poll I see now when it comes to the Big 12. And I don't know, I feel like they could be a surprise, because I think Rich Rod's a hell of a coach. I think there's a lot of belief there. Now, maybe the talent's not quite where it needs to be, but I could see West Virginia not finishing in the bottom. In fact, I think I'd have them above UCF if I had my way, actually. UCF's the team I'm the least confident about of everybody in the league this year. I just don't have a lot of reasons to believe in them overall, and especially versus most of the other leagues, other teams in the league. Now, if you want to say, well, they'll be better than Oklahoma State, okay, or West Virginia, you can make that argument. But UCF for me is the hardest to really pinpoint how good or bad they might actually be.
Out of all the conferences, the least room change, I guess, from top wins to low wins is this one by far. You'll see the other ones here with just 3.5 from West Virginia compared to those three schools at 8.5. 12 teams, according to Circus Sports, would end up being bowl eligible.
Look, I buy that.
Well, if they meet their win total.
Yeah, exactly. But I buy that. I think that that's about the right number. And when you get into Baylor, I won't know everything I need to know about Baylor and Auburn after that first game, but I'll know a lot more than normal, because it'll kind of show you where they are early on. And, because both those teams should be, I think Baylor should be pretty good, as is Vegas. And I think Auburn should be better. So that'll be an interesting one on that Friday night to see. But yeah, like when you start getting past Utah and Kansas, to me, that's where it gets really nebulous and hard. I think they've got TCU a little too low.
I do too.
Sure.
I think CCU is 6.5 is a little low. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just stupid, but I think Arizona State will be over, although need to take a closer look at the schedules. I think K-State will definitely be over. I think Tech will be over. They better be over. Baylor better be over. I
think if Baylor was to go 7.5 and 4.5, it'd be a very disappointing regular season. Yeah.
If they don't win like at least 9 games, I think it's a very disappointing regular season with Sawyer Robertson as quarterback and all they have coming back. I'd say Iowa State's over, but then here's the thing is you could make a great case for more than half the list finishing over here.
But if you do that, somebody's got to pay for it.
Well, yeah, and that's the inexact science of it all. So
which could be somebody at the top that has to pay for it. So,
and I just don't know if that's Utah or that's Kansas or if that's somehow Iowa State or Baylor or that's the mystery that we'll find out only in season. But you can see where this is very tempting for fans is how Vegas puts these things out. It's right there on the spot where you're confident they're going to win this many, but oh man, I don't know about that one more, or you're really confident they're not going to lose this many, but man, I don't know. They make it tough on you to spend your money. And so, I think all these make it very tough because Tech, you should say, I think Tech fans will bully the over there because that means 9-3. Where are the 3 losses coming from?
Yeah.
But some of these others are, or at the bottom especially, I think are the more difficult ones actually.
Chris Cobb saying Houston will not win 6 games. He's a Houston fan. West Virginia will be in the mix for the Big 12 in the years to come. Not saying this year. Okay. Not to mention TCU and Texas Tech at home. West Virginia. Chris talking about those games at our Kansas State games at home against TCU and Texas Tech. Okay, let's go to the Big 10.
That's far.
So much forgiveness. Wait, did you say forgiveness like far? Or forgiveness like forgiveness? Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Forgiveness.
I'm hearing far.
Forgiveness. Like forgiveness. Forgiveness? Forgiveness.
I'm still hearing far, but whatever.
Introducing Stealth 2 with more carbon for more forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Just hit it.
TaylorMade Golf.
Here we go. You got 3 teams at 10
wow. What a surprise at number 1 again.
Ohio State, Buckeyes. Hey, if one of those wins is not against UT, they should fire Ryan Day. No. That could be the perfect time to go play them. Like last year when they played, not that they wouldn't have beaten Michigan no matter when, but it's a kind of not a bad time coming off the national championship and a quarterback change.
Apparently, playing at noon in Columbus, Ohio is really hard for Ohio State, apparently. Not anybody else, but Ohio State would rather it not be at noon. So who knows?
Yeah, they want night games.
Yeah,
they're tired of playing at noon. Oklahoma fans were the same way, and they bitched about it incessantly towards the end of their Big 12 tenure, not realizing or just not caring, I guess, that it was a compliment because you were the big draw in the 11 o'clock important TV window. So that's why you keep playing at noon. And obviously Fox has a lot invested in Ohio State, and they get big eyeballs, and so they're going to have a lot of Ohio State at noon. But, yeah, Ohio State fans, just like Oklahoma fans, here in recent years, they want more night games and less of that middle of the day. But that's the big TV draw. So that's the price that comes with it.
Well, yeah. Again, do you not like the money? If they don't like the money and they'd rather just go back to playing night games, they can negotiate in the next TV deal that they.
There's a lot of entitlement there by not wanting to play at noon when that's Fox, who's the one giving you money. That's their favorite spot.
Also, if I were Fox and they were complaining about it, I would call them up and be like, hey, you and 3 other schools don't have to play on Thursday and Friday. So shut up.
No, I would put a word in between all that because you're right. They will never, I'm never going to say never in this day and age, but never be told they're going to play a game on a Friday night. So Indiana, the really cool story last year at 8.5 with Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska. Look at this. You can't even separate them all. All at 7.5. Minnesota, 11 teams in the Big 10 odds, if they win 6.5 or 6 games and more, would make a bowl game. And then there's this kind of, I'm not sure, with Michigan State. Who's the guy from Michigan State? He was at what? Oregon State? John, what's the guy's football
John
coach?
Smith.
Yeah, John Smith. He's pretty good. See what he does with yet another offseason for the Spartans. What are you shaking your head for? I couldn't remember his last name. I got the name right. I said Oregon State.
I mean, you could have just guessed the first one. It's Smith.
Yeah.
I mean,
or Jones.
Yeah. But no, I think Michigan has a good shot to go over. I do. I'm a big Mikey Keene guy, and look, they're very big on Bryce Underwood. I mean, so I think their quarterback problem is maybe not solved in the way it was with J.J. McCarthy, but certainly vastly improved from a year ago.
Yeah, man, they were a mess.
I mean, had they gotten a Mikey Keene a year ago, they would have been in contention for the Big Ten. And I'm not telling you that Mikey Keene is going to be the second pick in the draft or anything like that. I'm just saying that he can walk and chew gum at quarterback, which no one there could do last year. Yeah. And they didn't really do it. Like they kind of, wrote it out, but they still had a bunch of first-round talent on both sides of the ball and very draftable guys. And they were bad because they didn't have anybody who could play quarterback. So I think that'll be better because I think you can bus drive a team like Michigan to a ton of wins. Well, like J.J. McCarthy got that knock when he was coming out. It's like, well, when you have that best offensive line in the world, you only have to throw the ball 16 times a game. In fact, in a couple games, they didn't throw the ball in the second half because they didn't have to. Like, that's not because J.J. McCarthy couldn't.
Yeah, but what the problem is, when he had to throw it, he was good.
He was good at it. So, if they can reestablish that same kind of a thing with Mikey Keene or a true freshman stud, then they'll be fine.
So a big midsection from 6.5 to 7.5, and then there's a couple of teams just above that, Michigan and Indiana at 8.5. Then you have the 6 teams, UCLA 5.5 with Tua, right? Nico as their quarterback with the Bruins. Fickle again, that would be 5.5. Maryland, Rutgers, 2 teams that people feel like are not bad, would be under the threshold to make a bowl. Now, we go to the SEC. 3 teams at 9.5 wins, Alabama, Georgia. You could have blindfolded him, or if you didn't, those 3 teams were going to be 1, 2, and 3. We just didn't know the order. Alabama, maybe there's a few that would be off that, and possibly not in the top 3, but all at 9.5, which, oh, by the way, that will be interesting if we get to that, and there's a 12-team playoff with 1 year left, if they all are 9-3 or so. 9-3 or so, and nobody that's like a Texas or Georgia were last year, dominant from almost start to finish.
I mean, look, I'm not going to be surprised to see going forward a lot of teams winning Power 4 conferences at 9-3 and being in the playoff, including the SEC. It's getting tougher. It's tough, and they want them to schedule bigger games, but we'll see. Look, the top 3 teams on that list have new quarterbacks. Essentially, I mean, Arch Manning has the most real experience of all of them, and it's still not that much. Before you get to Nussmeier in that 4th spot, Ole Miss, new quarterback. Tennessee, God in heaven knows they have a new quarterback. So
Auburn does.
A&M's
got returning with Reed.
Yeah. DJ Lagway's down there.
Sellers in South Carolina and Florida and Lagway both have really nice quarterbacks, but they're right there at 7.5.
I'm going to take the over on Florida, South Carolina, and Oklahoma. It may be just one, but I think that they'll all be better. And one of those, pains me to say, and I'm going to have to brush my teeth after it because you ever feel like you like threw up in your mouth? Like, that's how I feel right now. But I do think that with Lagway, they'll be a lot better. I think they're going to be all year long. If he stays healthy, he's really tough to stop.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's interesting post Nico, that they're still right there in the upper half. I mean, they're still obviously very talented, but thought maybe they'd dip a little bit lower, maybe a couple spots down. I was splitting hairs at that point. Yeah, I think Florida, South Carolina. I would hope Oklahoma. I mean, but it kind of tells you where they are, that 7 wins is the over-under they're now facing, when about 3 years ago it would have been, 10 wins would have been like the bare minimum, I would say.
Every
single year. And
out,
now it's 7. So Huge year again for Brent Venables and company, but I'm not surprised to see Lebby and Mississippi State at the bottom. I don't think anybody expects them to be worth much at all. And I don't know when the expectation is supposed to kick in as far as results go for that program. But I think that's a pretty easy choice, along with Kentucky, who just seems like they've completely run out of flair and enthusiasm for Stoops. And, those are two pretty easy choices that normally would have been occupied by Vanderbilt. But how about Vanderbilt being at 5.5? Actually being above Arkansas and Kentucky both, and Mississippi State is interesting. But just 5.5 still. So Diego Pavia, go do your thing, man. And yeah, I mean, that Oklahoma 7, just interesting to see them at such a low number. But I do think South Carolina's, I think I'd go over with them. I'm not looking at schedules obviously right now, but Florida seems like a good candidate to do that as well. Auburn seems like a good candidate to maybe be under. I think the top's pretty easy. It's going to be some configuration of those 4 schools. I think pretty much every year. Some years, some team will jump up and enter that mix, but I think Alabama, Georgia, Texas, LSU, I mean, pretty much every year that's going to be 4 of your top 4 or 4 of your top 5.
All right, there we are. Some in the chat room said push on Oklahoma at 7.
Yeah.
Go Diego Pavia, go. Let the Lord of Chaos rule. Texas over. We got that 2 or 3 times in the chat. And Auburn at 8. Paxton says a little wild.
Now, Florida's schedule is the same as last year. They had a really tough schedule last year. That's what we thought. But Lagway is just, he makes that team completely different. And if you look at the way that they've acquired transfer portal talent and, high school talent, guys are coming to play with them. Like that to me is where you start taking steps forward, is when you have a player like that people want to come and play with, that have proven out. So I think that's one of the things that doesn't get talked about when it comes, especially the portal, is, now that if you know who your quarterback's going to be and people have seen like, oh, this guy can play, you get to the negotiation part a lot faster than, all right, well, I'm a receiver, a running back, or a left tackle. Who's the quarterback? Oh, we've got a couple guys we're looking at. Like, okay, well, who's the quarterback? It's DJ Lagway. All right, well, let's start talking turkey here and let's see if we can make this happen. So I think that, he is that good. I mean, South Carolina, same thing, that good. So I think you're going to see some jumps from them.
You look at Oklahoma's schedule, and I know they have Michigan at home, and we don't know how much Michigan bounces back. They were good last year, but they just couldn't do anything offensively, and neither could Oklahoma. But man, the back part of their schedule with UT, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and LSU, they better win early on or they could be in for a very, very difficult slide. All right, now the ACC, including Notre Dame. Clemson, pretty good team. They played well in Austin, but not enough firepower. Klubnik, Dabo, 10, Notre Dame, 10, Miami, 9, and then you have Louisville and SMU at 8.5. So those are the 5 at the top. Haynes King, Georgia Tech, 7.5. And then you have that midsection of a big chunk from 6 to 7 wins with Virginia Tech, NC State, Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, Duke, North Carolina, and the Seminoles.
Yeah, we'll know about Clemson and LSU pretty early on. The first weekend out of the box. But
you can lose that game and still win 10 games.
But their schedule, Clemson is, the first part of it's actually tough. You have LSU, Georgia Tech, and Syracuse. Although, Syracuse will see, if their offense can kind of be what it was last year. Of course, Clemson, if that's like everybody's got a weird team in their conference, it always gives them a headache. Syracuse is that for Clemson. It has been, but they've got a pretty manageable schedule between your tough teams, and a lot of that depends on, is Duke really that good this year? Like Duke, Florida State, Louisville, all right in a row. And SMU with the bye before that. That's a tough stretch, but they should be better than all of those teams, I would think. But we'll see.
Syracuse is just 5.5. I mean, I get there's been some change since last year, but with all the enthusiasm behind them, it just seems like just a disappointing low amount of games you're expected to win or maybe be not expected, but kind of in the ballpark of. But Fran Brown's building something good there. I think Stanford at 3, like they are, I mean, as irrelevant as it can possibly get at this point. I mean, really, in football, I think they're a complete afterthought. I think their league forgets that they're there, and I have nothing against Stanford, but I just see them in the ACC poll at the very bottom with a 3 over-under win total, and I just wonder, like, what's the future of Stanford football? I know they've had some changeover as well, so they're aware of there's some issues, and Andrew Luck's trying to fix all that, but man, they are at a low point right now. At the top, I think that makes a lot of sense, although Notre Dame, we're not in the ACC, but we're in all the ACC win totals. We're in all the ACC preseason polls. We're everything ACC, but we're not really in the ACC. It's just still what an arrangement that is.
They're in an open marriage.
Yeah, they very much are. They very much are in an open marriage.
That's what they are.
But Clemson and Notre Dame at the top, I think, makes a lot of sense. Miami's Miami, and who the hell knows with them. But SMU, I mean, Rhett Lashley's really built up something solid there. I do think Georgia Tech, not knowing their schedule off the top of my head, could be a good contender to maybe go over. I really like Haynes King, like most people, but I've liked him for going back to the Longview Lobos high school days. So I think that's a team that could finish higher than 7.5.
All right, so there we are with the 4 power or autonomy, whatever the hell they're called, schools, and then also with Notre Dame being attached to that. Nobody just realized this. Well, no, there's the 10.5 Ohio State, Oregon, and also Penn State. But nobody was like that. It'd be hard to go out on a limb and say you're going to win 11. And this, remember, is regular season. This does not include the conference championship game, and it does not include anything else after that, bowl game or playoff game. Otherwise, it can get crazy with how many can you play? 12, 13, up to 17 now if you had to play in the opening round.
I mean, that's why I picked Florida State to go over, because they're going to go 17-0.
And be left out.
Go
And they'll be left out.
I could probably go 16-0, because if you're undefeated, you'd probably not have to play that first round game. So 16-0.
Would you take 7 wins right now and be happy?
2 last year.
And I'm not. Wait a minute.
I'll take.
You're Mr. Standard.
I know, but I need to see some growth.
No,
I need to know. I mean, I gotta
your voice was trembling.
I'll take 7. I'll take 7 this year and see some growth. I won't. I mean, will I be happy about it? Of course not. I don't I'm not going to look back and go, the 7-5 Tommy Castellanos Seminoles, heartwarming. No, there are seasons that I remember, and they were all, contending seasons. And there's ones I'd rather forget. I'd rather forget the time that my friends and I drove up to Norman, Oklahoma, and FSU went up 7-0. And then that was it for them having fun in Norman.
Yep.
So
that's back when Oklahoma could do that to you too.
Yeah. I mean, Christian Ponder and I talked about it at Super Bowl a couple years ago. And I'm still kind of mad at him for it.